into two. I mean, there's not really much this week in college football. I mean, there's a few games, and we're going to do the usual top 25 spreadsheet and make our picks. But I just picked two games that are big this week, and I mean, do you want to talk Tennessee, Florida?
Yeah, we can.
I mean, we can talk about that too.
Might as well.
Okay, the first game. I think this game should be a yearly thing. Last year they played at Lambeau. This year, number 12 Notre Dame versus number 18 Wisconsin in Chicago at Soldier Field. Last year they played at Lambeau. This year they're playing at Soldier Field. This is cool.
Yeah, I like that.
It's like Notre Dame's going to have the home crowd, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, you can give your opinion on the game while I look up the line. I want to figure out what the gambling line is.
Yeah, so Wisconsin's going up, and I feel like Notre Dame's going down. They've been going down since they started. I mean, Wisconsin lost to Penn State in week 1, but they did put up a bigger fight than most teams that they play. A bigger fight than Notre Dame's been putting up against their schedules. I don't really know. I would call Wisconsin, and like if I was gonna pick somebody, and when we pick, I'm gonna pick Wisconsin. Yeah, Notre Dame will have the home field, but I just don't think Notre Dame's there.
So this is yesterday. So they've changed, obviously. People bet, and it moves. Heading into their third game of the season, the Badgers are actually favorites over Notre Dame. Right now, the Badgers are 5.5-point favorites. And I would expect Wisconsin to cover.
Mm-hmm.
If I picked it right now, I don't understand that line. I think they're seeing what you're seeing. Wisconsin's doing this.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's doing this. And even though Notre Dame's going to have the home field, Wisconsin's going to blow them out in this game.
I feel like, honestly, I don't think Wisconsin's really going up. I just feel like they're just sort of hanging out, you know. Notre Dame definitely is going down, but I feel like this game could turn the tide, you know. Like they might just meet like right here, play the game, and then flip-flop and go the other ways.
Notre Dame's going to have the home field. It's going to be advertised all over TV, playing in the NFL stadium. This is Wisconsin's chance to like show we can play a big game.
Yeah.
And I think they'll blow Notre Dame out. Maybe not blow them out, but I think they're going to beat them pretty good.
I'd say 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, like 17 points.
Yeah.
14, 17 points. Next big game of the week, it's another alternate site game. Real tradition game. It's played every year.
It's be a good game.
Number 7, Texas A&M versus number 16, Arkansas in Arlington at AT&T Stadium. Jerry World.
It'll be a good game. Taking Arkansas in that game.
Me too.
I think Arkansas's got it. No disrespect to A&M because they had a lot of hype coming into this season, but Arkansas is on a roll right now, man. I don't think it's going to take a lot to stop them.
Arkansas is playing with a lot of heart.
Yeah.
And I think one game like this, that heart don't carry them as far as they want to, could really hurt their season.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they come up short in a big game like this, they're like, well, what are we doing wrong? Like it could really alter their season.
But to add on to that, I think like if they come up short, it could really alter their season. But if they come up big, it could launch them, you know. Like kind of out there. But if Ole Miss upsets Alabama, Arkansas only has to beat Ole Miss. I think it could launch Arkansas to Atlanta. Like the stars would have to align. It would be crazy to happen, but it's possible. If they win a big game like this on a big stage, I could see it.
I, if A&M can pull it out, Calzada is going to have to show that he's a big time quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Because Haynes King, even though he's a freshman and he started out rough with like 3 interceptions, him getting hurt really hurt them as a team.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're gonna have to prove that they can win against a big time opponent without him. And I mean, Arkansas is gonna come in and hit them right in the mouth.
I mean, this game means a lot for both teams, so the emotions are going to be high. And even, like, this game might as well be the Super Bowl for them.
But if I had to pick who's playing, if I had to go off previous performances, I'm going with Arkansas. Mm-hmm. If I have to go with coaching, I'm going with A&M.
Mm-hmm.
But Sam Pittman's really impressed me at Arkansas too. Or he surprised me, but he's surrounding himself with really good assistants. So we'll see. It's a good game every year.
Mm-hmm.
And those, I mean, we can talk Tennessee, Florida, but those were the two that I thought were the biggest games of the week. Next week is when it gets real. When you get into SEC, not SEC, just SEC, but big time conference play as a whole, across the whole league. So, I mean, that next week we'll have a lot. It should be a lopsided towards college next week on as far as what we talk about, because conference play will really change things. But as far as Tennessee, Florida's coming off of a really, really hard fought loss to Bama, and they looked better than I thought. And do you want to get into my 2 points?
Sure.
And sort of talk about Tennessee and Florida as we go through this too, because you can link them together. But my big question, and I think we can talk for a pretty good minute on this, is Florida better than we thought? Is Alabama worse than we thought? Is both true, or is neither true?
It's a hard question. I think Florida's better than we thought, but not as good as they looked against Alabama. And Bama's not bad, but they're not the old Alabama. This is like their first test.
Their defense is not.
And their defense is not an Alabama defense. So, and no Alabama team ever lets up like they did late in the game like that. They had a 21-point lead going into the half, or it was 21-3 at one point, and they scored 10 points from the first quarter to the end of the game.
It's 21-3 in the first quarter.
Yeah,
but
it was 21-10 at halftime.
The big takeaway, all I've heard, not only in the first 2 weeks, but all off season, this is not your grandpa's Florida team. This is not the Florida team that you know in the past, where they have a really good defense. Well, they held Alabama to 91 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pretty good. I think Florida's defense is a lot better than we thought. I think Alabama's defense is a lot worse than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
I still, even after this game, do not trust Emory Jones. I don't know why. I just think, he was 18 for 28, 195 yards and an interception. Another big thing that people don't realize is Alabama's got a whole bench of 5-stars that they can put in. Like, it's next man up, and it's the guy behind you is another 5-star just like you.
Mm-hmm.
But what that 5-star ranking don't get you is when you come in as a freshman, especially look at Bryce Young. I mean, how many starts has he had? When you come in as a 5-star freshman, you don't have experience playing on the road in the swamp. I think that's the big thing with Alabama from year to year is getting those freshmen and those big time players to be prepared to go on the road.
Yeah.
And this is like,
College football stadiums are a different breed too.
and nobody cares about neutral site games.
No.
Alabama plays a neutral site game to start the year every year. And you can't even compare that to what they just went through Saturday. Because you have Alabama fans travel, and the other team, like, to open the year, Alabama and Miami. Miami fans travel to that game just as good as Alabama fans travel to that game. It's a neutral site game. But this, you can't prepare. I hate Florida with every bone in my body. I hate them more than any college football team in college football. More than Alabama. But you can't prepare a freshman to go play in the swamp.
Nope.
I think that was a lot to do with it. Like Florida having a home field advantage, and I don't care who you are, whether you're Florida or Florida A&M, you get up to play Alabama. Like this was their Super Bowl. So saying that, I never say, like, we just said that I think Alabama's as a whole, Alabama's worse than we thought. They're not worse, they're just not as good.
No, they're not as good as we thought, but they're not bad. I mean, they are the number one team in the nation.
I don't think Florida's better than we thought. I just think they got up for this game.
Yeah. Now, with that said, it's rivalry week. It's Florida week. How does Tennessee beat Florida?
I don't ever say that we were going to. I never pick us to win this game because we've only beat them 5 times my whole life.
Sure. But this year's Tennessee, it's like,
You have to, if you hope to win, you have to pray to God that they're coming off a high in this game. Like you have to pray that this game took everything out of them.
you have to pray that they're beating themselves up in practice this week, only thinking about that game and not thinking about you.
They're not overlooking us.
No, I'm not saying they're overlooking, but they're beating themselves up that they came that close. Because if they pull off that upset, that completely changes everything. People start going crazy and putting Florida above a lot of teams that they probably aren't actually above. They'd probably jump 6 spots, while Bama would probably drop 2. 6 is probably a stretch, but you know what I mean. Like that question you just asked with is Florida better than we thought would be so exaggerated if they would have pulled that upset off. And
well, we have good running backs, but our running game's not steady. We will have Cooper Mays back, so our offensive line should be rearranged back to what it should be. We don't have to move people around. Past 2 weeks, we've had to move the whole offensive line around and shuffle it. So that'll be back to normal. Hopefully you can run the ball better, but they held Alabama to 91 yards. I'm not banking on them running the ball against Florida. Could it happen? Yeah. And we all know how our quarterback situation is. It depends on who plays, but there ain't neither one of them been able to hit the deep ball. Every one of them's overthrew it. And, you're going to have to hit that deep ball a couple times. And you're going to have a couple turnovers go your way. And that's to even keep it close. I mean, they may go down there and beat them. I don't know. Florida may come into this game just beat up and over it, but I doubt it. It's the one game. And we could go down there and play with our hair on fire and look better than we have all year. But has Tennessee ever done that? No. I don't know how to feel about the spread. Right now, Florida's 20-point favorites. And I don't even know if there's that many points scored in the whole game.
Really? See, that's my thing is I feel like our defense is good enough to slow them down. If we can get our offense going, we might be okay. We might hold them within a touchdown if we're lucky.
Their running game's crazy, though. And they got three.
I don't feel like we've seen our defense's full potential.
They got a three-headed monster at running back, so they're going to run the ball, and that's good.
It's a hard game to talk about.
It's hard.
It's a hard game to talk about. No, you don't understand if you're not a Tennessee fan. You don't understand if you're not a Florida fan.
It's one of those games where you don't expect something to happen, but if it does, then you just want to be surprised.
You're right.
Like, I will never. I was at the game where we beat them last time, 2016. But other than that, last time we beat them in Gainesville was 2003. So
miracles happen every day.
It don't happen often. But like I said, any given Saturday or any given Sunday, anybody can be beat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to rule it out. But do I think it'll happen? No. Do I think they'll cover? No. But we'll see. I could see it playing out like a few years ago when it was like 10-7,
9-10. Kicked 3 field goals because our offense couldn't do anything. They kicked a field goal early, and we had a 6-point lead the whole game. And they scored a touchdown at the end.
So yeah, I mean that's
the thing with the Florida game, man. Just to get on that Tennessee fan side of me, it always turns out in their favor. Like the craziest play happens in like the last 5 minutes of the game, and it ruins everything for us. But we can move on if you want to before we get too emotional.
And before we get on the NFL, I think if you think we can talk about it now, then we can. I think we should give it one more. Let's see who they play. They play NC State next. Clemson. Another ACC game. I think we should wait till after this game and see how they come out against NC State. But if you want to talk about it now, we can. Is Clemson on the downhill?
It's like a too soon to call type of thing.
That's why I said
it's what you hope. But what I feel is yes. I feel like Clemson finally ran out of that magic that they had whenever they had Deshaun and they had T-Law and Higgins and they had championship teams. And now they're doing what we thought all these years that Alabama would do. Alabama's just always had depth. And I think they finally ran out of depth.
They figured them out.
Yeah, something.
Or other teams have figured out how to go up against them in recruiting.
Yeah.
Probably Georgia. Georgia's probably getting all their kids now. But
would that change if Clemson came to the SEC?
Yeah. I think they should, too. And Clemson fans will probably get pissed when me saying this. I don't really care. I don't care what you think. I call him DJ Ukulele. The quarterback. Deshaun Watson ain't walking through that door.
He's gone.
Trevor Lawrence ain't walking through that door.
He's gone.
You got a quarterback in a Dr. Pepper commercial, and he ain't playing worth crap. And you got coaches saying that he needs to lock down on fundamentals. Not a good look.
A little too late for that, huh?
Yeah. I don't think they'll be in a playoff this year.
No. That's why I posted the question on Twitter a couple days ago talking about more than 2 SEC schools in the top 4. What do you do?
I mean, right here they have NC State, Boston College, Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Florida State, Louisville, UConn, Wake Forest, and South Carolina. Easy schedule.
It is easy, but it is conference games. So
how many other teams are above them that's going to push them out? I could see them being like first one out, number 5.
Nah, I don't even know. I could see them being lower.
Because, I mean, you're going to have Oregon or Oklahoma going to push them out.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get 2 SEC schools in, Alabama and Georgia, and then Pac-12 and Big 12. Or Ohio State.
I don't know. It's still too early to call.
Or Michigan. Never know.
Still too early to call.
You just got to see how it's going to shake out. I mean, it's a lot. Everything's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
It's just week 4. So, but yeah, I just wanted to. We'll revisit that later on in the year. I mean, I think they are on the downhill. Are they there yet? No, but they're heading that way. They got trouble, and that Lynn J. Dixon kid, their running back, we was his second team he was choosing from. He just announced this week he's transferring. He went into the transfer portal because evidently he can't stay out of the doghouse with his running back coach. So they got drama, and like one of their best defensive players is out 7 to 8 weeks. So, but we can move on to NFL.